My sister ruined my relationship because she couldn't have her only true love. Can you even fathom the kind of rage that ignites when your own sister, the person who's supposed to be your biggest supporter, deliberately shatters your world? Well, my sister Mia did exactly that, all because of a man she barely knew. But what she didn't realize was that I was about to turn her tragic love story into her worst nightmare, making her watch as her one true love fell head over heels for me instead. See, my younger sister, Mia, had this pathetic excuse she'd been using since she turned 21. She genuinely believed she couldn't have her one true love, so she was entitled to destroy everyone else's. And I don't mean that in some cute, still hung up on an ex way. I mean, if you were happy, she'd find a way to make you miserable, then blame it all on her tragic love story. Her supposed soulmate? Some guy named Ethan she'd hooked up with once at a college party 4 years ago. He never called, and somehow, that became her origin story for being a truly awful person. It started with her best friend, Jess. Mia stayed over one weekend, and by Monday, Jess's boyfriend was sending Mia good morning texts. When Jess found them together, in Jess's own bed, mind you, Mia actually had the gall to say, "You don't understand what it's like to lose your soulmate." Jess never spoke to her again, and honestly, who could blame her? Then came our cousin's engagement party. Mia showed up in an outrageously expensive dress, got completely wine-drunk, and cornered the groom in the bathroom. His exact words later? She kept saying I reminded her of someone special. Thank God he pushed her off and told his fiancé immediately.
But Mia?
Oh, she cried to our parents about how seeing happy couples triggered her trauma. And Mom, bless her heart, bought Mia a spa weekend to help her heal. By the time I met Ryan, I knew the drill. I kept him away from family dinners, deleted Mia from my social media, and just told him my sister was going through something and needed space. For 2 glorious years, it actually worked. We got engaged last spring, planning a small, intimate ceremony. Nothing fancy, just us and close friends. But I made one crucial mistake. I mentioned it at Mom's birthday dinner. Mia's eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. "I'm so happy for you," she gushed, hugging me. "When do I get to meet him?" A week later, Ryan showed me his phone, laughing. "Your sister found me on Instagram with some fake account. Look at these messages." We read them together, mocking her desperation, and he promised to block her. 3 weeks before my wedding, I got hit with a terrible flu. Ryan was supposed to be at his brother's golf tournament. But then my friend, who lived near Mia's apartment, texted me, "Come over. I just saw Ryan's Tesla in your sister's visitor parking spot." My chest went cold. A deep, icy dread spread through me. I drove over, fever and all. Used the spare key Mia had given me for emergencies. And there they were, on her couch, half-dressed, her head in his lap, his hand in her hair. She looked up at me, those fake tears already welling up. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "He just reminds me so much of Ethan." I stormed out. He didn't even try to stop me. Didn't try to save anything. That's when it hit me. A cold, hard resolve settled in my gut. She was going to learn what losing really felt like. You see, Ethan wasn't some mystery man who just vanished. We actually followed each other on Instagram. We had mutual college friends, the occasional like on posts, but we never really talked. He lived 3 hours away, worked as a physical therapist, and posted cute videos of his golden retriever. So, I slid into his DMs with a simple message. "Hey, this is weird, but my sister had a thing for you in college, and she just ruined my wedding. Want to help me ruin her life?" He responded in 12 minutes.
Mia?
"The girl who showed up at my mom's house? I'm in." Turns out, Mia had driven to his hometown, introduced herself to his mother as if they were old acquaintances, spinning a distorted tale about how Ethan was the love of her life, separated by circumstances. His poor mother, completely believing her, invited Mia for tea. They took selfies, and Mia even posted one, captioning it, "Reuniting with my dear future mother-in-law." Ethan sent me everything, screenshots, videos, even an audio of his mom tearfully saying, "She seemed so sincere, dear. I'm sorry if I caused any problems." That's when I knew Mia wasn't going to stop. She didn't know how to love. She only knew how to possess. And what she couldn't have, she destroyed. But this time, she didn't count on two things: that I was no longer the sister who'd let things slide, and that Ethan was absolutely willing to play her game. We planned every step. He would come visit me on the weekend of our family lunch. I hadn't spoken to Mia since the Ryan incident, but I knew she'd be there. It was my father's birthday, and nobody ever missed the perfect family event. And me? I would show up with Ethan, holding hands, laughing, acting exactly how Mia had dreamed of acting with him. On Friday, I picked Ethan up at the bus station. He was even more handsome in person, charismatic, funny, gentle. The kind of man who shines effortlessly. The kind of man Mia couldn't manipulate, and he knew it. In the car, we rehearsed our lines, coordinated our gestures, like actors preparing for the performance of a lifetime. Saturday at 1 p.m., we pulled up to my parents' house. I walked in wearing a new dress, high heels, and a smile that felt genuinely evil. Ethan held my hand as if we'd been a couple in love for years. Mia was in the living room, laughing with my uncle when she saw us. Her laughter died in her throat. "Everyone," I announced as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "This is Ethan." The name hit her like lightning. She went white, then crimson, then forced herself to smile, as if it were some hilarious coincidence. "Ethan," she stammered, an awkward laugh escaping. "Wow, what a coincidence." He smiled politely. "Hi, Mia. Good to see you again." That destroyed any control she still pretended to have. She tried to stammer something, but I was already sitting down with him beside me, taking photos, posting stories. My every move was a blade to her vanity. During lunch, she tried to make conversation with him, reminiscing about some college memory that never actually existed. But Ethan made sure to look at me the whole time, calling me love, putting his arm around my shoulders. And every time he did that, Mia pressed her lips together as if she were swallowing glass shards. After the birthday toast, she finally couldn't take it. She locked herself in the bathroom. I followed. I knocked on the door until she opened it. "What do you want now?" she asked, her makeup smeared, a pleading look in her eyes. "Just came to see if you're okay," I replied with fake concern. After all, it must be hard to see a soulmate in your sister's arms, right? "You're doing this just to hurt me," she cried. "And you destroyed my engagement just because you couldn't stand to see me happy." "Oh no, Mia. This is justice." "He was mine," she screamed, punching the wall. "I saw him first. I felt it first."
"No, Mia.
"You saw him once. And he never wanted you. You invented a love story in your head and used it as an excuse to be cruel to everyone around you. But now you're going to sit and watch him love me because, unlike you, I didn't have to beg." She collapsed on the floor, crying loudly. Mom knocked on the door, asking if everything was okay. I opened it and walked out with my head held high. I went back to the living room and sat next to Ethan. He kissed my forehead and whispered, "She's going to lose it even more. Are you ready?" I smiled. I've never been more ready. The next day, the repercussions were already visible. Mom called me early, asking for empathy. She said Mia had spent the entire night crying, that she was fragile, and that I should have avoided provoking her. Provoking? I laughed humorlessly. You think showing up with my boyfriend at a family gathering is provoking? Or is it that Mia just can't stand to see anyone happy without her being the center of attention? She sighed, as if I were the problem. "Honey, your sister has a sensitive heart. She gets attached easily." "Sensitive?" I interrupted. "Mom, she slept with my fiancé. She destroyed my wedding. I was feverish, alone at home, and she was lying with him on the couch, reminiscing about Ethan. You're not going to flip this around. Look, let's talk another day," she said and hung up. At that moment, I realized no one in my family was going to defend me. They always treated Mia like a broken ornament, but they forgot she also had claws. She always had them. Only now, those claws were turned on herself. On Monday, Ethan was still in town. I took him to brunch with some of my friends, the ones who knew everything Mia had been up to since high school. He was a showstopper, polite, gentle, charismatic, and utterly devoted to me. The girls exchanged enchanted glances. Some even whispered, "This revenge is too beautiful." But the best part came that afternoon. Ethan posted a photo of us on Instagram, the two of us hugging in a park, with a simple caption, "Sometimes love appears when you least expect it." The comments started discreetly, a cousin, a former classmate, heart emojis. But then Mia showed up. Her username, Kamaya Soulmate. She commented, "This is disgusting. You know what he means to me." Ethan liked her comment and replied with surgical precision, "We hooked up once, Mia."
Once.
"And you followed me down the street the next day." "That's not love. It's obsession." Boom. In less than an hour, the post became the talk of our social circles. People who had known Mia since high school started commenting. Finally, someone said it. "I always thought the way she talked about him was strange. Karma exists." She stayed silent on the post, but sent me a series of voice messages on WhatsApp, crying, screaming, asking how I could use him against her. One of them ended with, "You're destroying my life for revenge." I replied with a simple text, "No. I'm just showing you how to rebuild after being destroyed. Something you never knew how to do." And then, without any ceremony, I blocked her. But I still wasn't finished. Not yet. I knew she wouldn't let it go easily. And sure enough, on Thursday night, I got a notification. Mia had made a post on Instagram. A selfie with a crying face, swollen eyes, that low bedroom lighting. The caption, "It's hard to see your sister steal the man you love. Laugh at your pain and be applauded for it. I'm not perfect, but no one deserves this." Over 1,000 likes.
People commenting, "Stay strong. Take care.
"You'll get through this." And what hurt the most? Some people close to me reposted it. The next morning, I went in my parents' house. Mom answered the door, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "I came to talk with everyone," I said, walking past her. Dad was in the living room. Mia came down the stairs, as if she were at a funeral, sweatpants, hair tied back, that "I'm the victim" face. "Did something happen?" she asked almost sweetly. "Something did happen," I said, stopping in the center of the living room, looking at both of them. "Enough of you manipulating everyone and coming out like you're the poor victim." "Mom, Dad, did you see the post? Do you really think it's fair? Do you remember who destroyed whose engagement?" "Honey, this isn't how you solve." Mom tried.
No, Mom.
"Now you're going to listen." I turned to Mia. "You seduced Ryan. You stabbed me in the back. You said sorry with fake tears and thought you'd continue being the family princess. But now the tables have turned. Now you're the one on the ground crying, and no one's going to save you this time because it's not a sad post that will erase the screenshots, the voice messages, the testimonies. Everyone saw who you really are." The mask fell, Mia. She stayed silent, crying.
Dad looked down.
"I'm tired of being the forgotten daughter while you put on little shows. Enough. The stage is mine now. And the audience? They're on my side." I left without waiting for an answer. In the car, Ethan was behind the wheel with the radio on and a coffee for me. "So," he asked. "It was beautiful," I replied. "She finally saw that she has no control anymore." He smiled. "You know what? Getting revenge on her was more therapeutic than I imagined." "Yeah," I said. "And you know what's better? Part 2 is still coming." Part 2 began with an invitation. The launch party for my friend Andre's new restaurant, a place known for its local influencer presence and massive social media coverage. Mia, of course, was obsessed with this type of event. She always pretended to have a life she didn't, posting photos in store mirrors, pretending to own expensive clothes, ordering food just for pictures before sending it back through the kitchen door. It was all about appearances. But this time, she wasn't on the list. I was. And so was Ethan. We arrived perfectly. The entrance photographer stopped us, and the next day, one of our photos appeared on a city events profile with the caption, "Couple of the moment. Melissa and Ethan steal the scene at the opening night." Mia naturally saw it. She posted on her stories the classic indirect jab. Some people need the spotlight to feel alive. I prefer depth. Depth? From someone who threw herself at my fiancé 3 weeks before my wedding and was now crying on the internet because the guy she barely knew became my boyfriend? Please. The following Saturday, another event. Amanda's wedding, our cousin. Mia had always been very close to Amanda. She probably expected Amanda to neutralize the situation, to ask me not to bring Ethan. But Amanda called me personally. Mel, please come and bring him. Everyone already knows what happened, and I don't have the patience to pretend anymore with Mia. She needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around her. Mia was there alone, dressed too tightly, flawless makeup, a plasticized smile, pretending she didn't see us when we walked in. Ethan hugged me by the waist, kissed my cheek from time to time, and all she could do was watch. But the scene that made the night truly worthwhile was during the bride and groom's dance. Amanda very discreetly called us to dance beside them. Ethan and I were there in the center, spinning slowly, when Mia tried to approach. For the first time, she seemed completely disarmed. "Ethan, can I talk to you?" she asked, with that look she thought was irresistible. He let go of my hand, looked at her, and said with complete calm, "No, I'm busy loving your sister." Mia froze. I took a deep breath, looked at her, and added, "And for the first time in years, I'm being truly loved." Something you never understood, because you only know how to confuse attention with love. She took 2 steps back, tears welling in her eyes, and tripped over her own dress hem. No one laughed. It was worse. Everyone ignored her. That hurt more. She left the hall a few minutes later, and me? I kept dancing. For the first time in a long time, feeling like I was the one who had truly won. But my favorite part was still to come. A few weeks later, I was invited to participate in a podcast about overcoming challenges and new beginnings. I didn't use names, but I told the story. The one about the narcissistic sister, the unfaithful fiancé, the calculated revenge, and of course, the unexpected love. The episode went viral. People from all over the country sent messages, congratulating me, saying they identified with it. Mia listened. I know she did because the same day, she sent a message to my DMs. "Do you really need to expose yourself like this just to get applause?" And I replied without hesitation. "It's not exposure. It's liberation. I lived years in your theater. Now the story is mine, and so is the stage." She never replied. In the following days, I learned from third parties that Mia was becoming reclusive. Some brands she was trying to partner with cut contact. People started commenting about her obsession with Ethan. The reputation she fought so hard to build with filters and ready-made phrases began to crumble. And it wasn't me who brought it down. She sank herself. And me? I kept living. Ethan was no longer just a piece in my revenge. The truth is, in the middle of all that chaos, he became a shelter. A shelter that came disguised as an ally, but today was a true companion. And every day that passed, I saw what Mia tried to destroy only made me stronger. And she, who always wanted to win through manipulation, now only had silence as company. The first time I realized I wasn't thinking about Ryan anymore was on an ordinary morning, weeks after Amanda's wedding. We were in my apartment. The sun was gently shining through the window, and Ethan was in the kitchen, shirtless, making pancakes the way he had been doing since the first week he spent with me. While he hummed softly a song from the 2000s, doing ridiculous little dances that made me laugh, I realized Ryan was nothing more than a weak shadow in a dusty corner of my memory. It wasn't just revenge. Not anymore. It was the way Ethan held my hand even when he didn't need to. It was how he listened to my childhood stories with a sincere smile, even though he already knew them all. It was how he looked at me while I read a book on the couch, as if he didn't need anything else in the world. I didn't expect this. When I called him with that impulsive message, I thought it would be temporary, that he would pretend for a while until Mia gave up, until I felt avenged, and then life would return to normal. But it didn't return. Ethan became routine. He brought me presents, security. He met my friends, integrated into my work circle, started leaving toothbrushes and t-shirts at my house. When my car broke down, he was the first to show up with coffee and a tow truck. When I had an anxiety attack before an important presentation, he sat with me on the kitchen floor and stayed silent, just holding my hand until I could breathe again. And Ryan? Not even a thought. Not one comparison. Nothing. He, who was once the center of my world, was now irrelevant because now I had someone who was present even on ordinary days. Ryan was made of future promises,
Ethan?
of present actions. One night, we went to dinner at a new restaurant. Nothing fancy, just a nice atmosphere and good food. When we sat down, Ethan held my hand across the table and said with that light tone I knew so well, "You know, it's funny. We started this to fool your sister, but I never pretended anything." I was silent for a few seconds, my heart racing. "I'm not pretending anymore either," I replied with an almost embarrassed smile. He laughed and raised his wine glass. "To the best revenge, then?" "No," I corrected. "To what comes after." We toasted. And for the first time in a long time, I was at peace. Without resentment. Without ghosts. Without wanting someone to notice or validate me. I was there for myself, and so was he. A few days later, walking downtown, I saw Ryan. Alone. Walking with his head down, as if the world was too heavy. It was automatic. I looked away, not from pain, but because it simply didn't matter anymore. He saw me, hesitated, almost came to talk. But when he noticed Ethan approaching and intertwining his fingers with mine, he backed away. Maybe he finally understood that there was no more space for him, that the place he wasted with lies and omissions was now occupied by someone who, without promising anything, gave me everything. That night, I hugged Ethan tighter and whispered, "Thank you for showing up." He looked at me with that calm smile that said everything, even in silence. And I knew revenge gave me justice, but it was the after that gave me love. Months passed, and what began as a sharp response to my sister's poison became the sweetest part of my life. Ethan was no longer a plan, a move, a well-orchestrated provocation. He was my home, my partner in silences and laughter. We slept together almost every night, sometimes at my house, sometimes at his, where the golden retriever insisted on sleeping between us, like a guardian accomplice to this unlikely story. He officially asked me to be his girlfriend one simple night on the couch, while we ate pizza straight from the box and watched a silly documentary about marine life. "Do you think it's too early for this?" he asked, the pizza box balanced on his lap, a smile at the corner of his mouth. "Or is it already too late?" "I think we've already been through worse phases than any couple together for 20 years, I replied, laughing. "It's just a title, but yes, I want to." And that's how it stayed. We didn't talk about Mia anymore. She disappeared from conversations, from social media, from messages. She blocked Ethan on everything. Even though he never sought contact, she told acquaintances that she would never forgive me, that I had stolen the love of her life just to rub it in her face, what she couldn't have. She didn't bother to admit that she destroyed my wedding before all of this. But you know what? I didn't care anymore. At first, I thought I would care. That I would keep dwelling on the fact that she didn't acknowledge her own guilt. That I would beg for an apology that never came. But the truth is that the freedom I felt when I stopped wanting Mia's approval was the greatest gift that whole chaos gave me. She didn't forgive me. She didn't come to my birthday. She didn't respond to my mother's messages about Christmas. She stayed away, hurt, revolted. And me? I moved on. I traveled with Ethan to the countryside, met his mother, this time officially, helped paint the wall of the new clinic he opened, learned to deal with the messy dog, and little by little, we built a routine that was light, true, without masks, without games. There was a day when we were lying in the hammock, just listening to the wind and the sound of birds, when he said to me, "Do you still think all of this was just revenge?" I thought for a few seconds and then smiled, turning my face to him. Maybe it started that way, but it ended up being the best thing I ever did for myself. He kissed my forehead, and we stayed in silence. Revenge became love. And, ironically, that's what must have hurt Mia the most. She always wanted to be the center, the most beautiful, the most desired, the most worthy of attention. But it was off stage, away from the script she always tried to write, that I found what she spent her whole life pretending to have. I was never the family highlight. I was never the most loved. I was never the perfect sister. But I was the only one who knew how to transform pain into strength, rejection into freedom, and revenge into love. And that no one will ever take away from me. 6 months later, when I thought all the storms had passed, I received an unexpected call. It was Ryan. I didn't answer the first time or the second. On the third, Ethan was beside me and simply said, "Answer it. You need to close this cycle." "Hello," I replied with the most neutral voice possible. "Melissa, it's me." His voice sounded tired, defeated. Can I talk to you in person?" I thought about hanging up, but Ethan was right. There was something that needed to be said. We arranged to meet at a neutral cafe, far from any place that held our memories. When I arrived, he was already there. Disheveled hair, deep dark circles. He seemed to have aged years in just a few months. "Thank you for coming," he said, without looking me in the eyes. "What do you want, Ryan?" He sighed deeply. "I wanted to apologize. And explain." "Explain what?" "That you were holding hands with my sister 3 weeks before our wedding." "It wasn't like that," he murmured. She came to me when you were sick. Said she needed to talk about something important about you, that there were things from your past I needed to know before marrying you." A knot formed in my stomach. Typical Mia. "And you believed her?" "She brought evidence, or at least things that seemed like evidence. Said you had destroyed some girl's life in high school, that you were vindictive, manipulative. She showed old conversations taken out of context." He finally looked at me. I got confused, scared. "And that's why you went to bed with her?" "No." He shook his head desperately. "She said she had been in love with me since we met. That she just hadn't said anything because she respected you. That if I canceled the wedding, she would be there for me." I was drinking. I was confused with everything she had told me about you. "Ryan," I interrupted. "None of that justifies what you did." "I know." Tears began to form in his eyes. 5 minutes after you left, I understood. I understood that she had manipulated me, that all of it was lies, that I had destroyed the best thing in my life because of her. I remained silent for a long time. "You know what hurts me most, Ryan? It's not even what you did. It's that you didn't trust me. In 2 years together, you believed her words more than who I really was." He lowered his head. "I tried calling you afterward 1,000 times. I went to your house, but you were never there, until I saw the photos with him. And I understood it was too late. It was too late the moment you put your hand in her hair." I replied, standing up. "But thank you for explaining. It helps me be sure I made the right choice."
He looked at me one last time.
Are you happy with him?" I smiled for the first time during the entire conversation, happier than I imagined I could be. And I left without resentment, just with the certainty that some doors need to be closed for others to open completely. The conversation with my family was harder. It took 3 months before my mother called, asking us to talk. She suggested lunch, just the two of us, to work things out. I found a different woman there, older, more tired. The wrinkles around her eyes seemed deeper. "How are you?" she asked, hesitant. "Good, Mom. Very good." "And Ethan?" "He's good, too. We're good." She nodded, nervously fidgeting with her napkin. "I need to apologize to you," she finally said, "for all the years that I didn't see clearly." I felt my chest tighten. "Mom, no. Let me talk." She looked me in the eyes for the first time. I always knew Mia was difficult, but I thought if I gave her more attention, if I protected her more, she would change. And in the process, I neglected you. I left you to deal with the consequences of her problems alone. Tears began to stream down my face. After you confronted us that day, I started putting the pieces together. The friends Mia lost, the boyfriends who disappeared, the stories that never added up. And I realized that you two told me very different versions of the same story. And I always chose to believe hers. "Why?" I asked, my voice choked. "Because she cried louder," my mother admitted, her voice breaking. "Because you always seemed stronger, more capable of taking care of yourself." And I confused strength with not needing support. We sat in silence for a few minutes. "How is Mia?" I asked. "She moved to another state. She's in therapy. Said she needs to start over away from all this." My mother hesitated. She asked me to tell you that she knows she was wrong, but that she can't apologize to you yet. And I can't forgive yet, I replied honestly. Maybe someday, but not now. I understand. She reached her hand across the table. Can I try to be a better mother to you? I held her hand. We can try to be a better family, but it will take time. She smiled with tears in her eyes. I have time. A few weeks later, my father showed up at my house without warning, with a bouquet of flowers and the face of someone who didn't quite know what to say. Can I come in? He asked, timid. Of course, Dad. Ethan was in the kitchen and greeted my father politely before stepping away, giving us space to talk. I like him, my father said, straight to the point. Seems like a good man. He is. I came here because your mother said you two talked, and I realized I never apologized to you. My father was never one for many words, so this surprised me. I always knew Mia was problematic, he continued, but I thought it wasn't my problem, that it was women's business, that your mother would solve it. But in the end, you both suffered, and you especially. Dad. No. Daughter, let me finish. He sat on the edge of the sofa. I failed as a father. I failed to protect you. I failed to educate her. And I failed to teach you both that sisters should support each other, not destroy each other. I felt a lump in my throat. Your mother told me about Ryan, about what she did to you. He shook his head. If it were me, I would never forgive. But you found a way to transform all that pain into something good. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of you. They were the words I had waited my whole life to hear. Thank you, Dad. Do you think there's still time for me to be a better father? I smiled, even with my eyes welling up. There's always time. That night, I told Ethan everything. He listened in silence, just holding my hand. How do you feel? He asked when I finished. Free, I replied, surprised by my own response. For the first time, truly free. And about Mia? I thought for a moment. I hope she finds her peace away from me. But I hope she finds it. He smiled and kissed my forehead. You're incredible, you know that. We're incredible. I corrected him. And it was true because in the end, it wasn't just about beating Mia or getting revenge on her. It was about learning that I deserved to be loved properly, defended, respected. It was about discovering that family isn't just who's born with you, but who chooses to stay by your side. It was about realizing that sometimes to find the love of your life, you first need to stop accepting crumbs from those who never valued you. And today, when I wake up next to Ethan, with the dog sleeping at our feet, I know all the battles were worth it because they brought me here. To him, to us, to peace. So, tell me, have you ever had to fight for your own happiness against someone you thought you loved, or had to walk away from family to find your own peace? How did you navigate those incredibly complicated relationships? I really want to hear your stories in the comments below.